Welcome to Chris Parking Shooting Sports. New scopes coming today. This is Primary Arms GLX 4-16x50. Now this is one of my favourite sort of scope specifications, to be honest. So we're going to get it out, have a little look at it, and then I'm going to put it on the rifle and go and do the full review on it. Pop it out of the box. Let's just have a quick look what's in the box. We've obviously got the scope here. We've got flip up Butler Creek scope caps front and rear. We've got an instruction manual, a cleaning cloth, and that seems to be the contents of the box. Butler Creek scope caps are superb. They just push on the front and on the back of the scope, the objective and the ocular bodies. I'm just going to leave that one off at the moment, and they of course flip up to protect your lenses and make sure you've got a quick appreciation of what's going on target. And the rear one has a little red button on the back, so when that's on there like that, press the red button and it pops up out of your way. But as I say, I'm going to leave that off for this second because I want to show you the back. We've got a fast focus eyepiece. That's got a nice rubberized finish there with lots of texture segregations on it, so you can grip it easily, set it up. And once you've got that set, pop that on and it's locked in position for good. We have a small wing on this which looks like it can be swapped between different positions actually on that on the magnification dial there. So it allows you to faster or more quickly adjust the actual magnification you're using, and this is a 4-16 magnification scope, so that's what's known as a 4x erect to tube or 4x zoom ratio. Looking at the rest of the scope, we've got a smooth finish on the 30mm tube. It's all 606 aluminium, so it's nice and tough, durable, and of course that's not going to pick up all the dust off your skin, so it's never going to look messy or anything like that. Elevation on the top here, we've got a locking button there. This has got a 0 stop on it, so if I just be quiet for a second, you can hear that click in position. It won't turn unless I unlock it like that, anti-clockwise for up. This one's in milliradians or 1 centimetre at 100 metre clicks. As I say, it's got a 0 stop, and we can set that and float the dial to actually set it up to indicate 0 when we've actually set it up and zeroed it on the rifle. Similarly, we've got a locking windage dial as well, and we can set that up. The clicks, nice tactile clicks actually, not too noisy either, but you can perceive those both physically through the dial and just with a very slight audible click as well. And doesn't seem to be much overrun. Let's just have a little try that and say, well, let's go 15 clicks. So press the button, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes, and we are actually on 1.5, which we can see there. That is good. I like that. So onwards in this, just pop that off again for a second. We have got an illuminated reticle, and we have got parallax control, which I believe goes down as close as about 10 meters. So I'll have to test that when I actually get it on the rifle. We've got a milliradian reticle inside. That again will be photographed on the rifle. And we have got parallax that goes all the way down here to about 10 meters and all the way up to infinity. So that makes the scope versatile for any rifle that you can put 30mm tube, 30mm rings on. Eye relief's actually being kept reasonable on this. It's actually only 3.5 to 3.6 inches, which is about 90mm. Now some people might say longer eye relief is better, but actually it's not always better. Many scopes that say magnum eye relief, that means 100mm. Yes, that's very nice, but it does actually physically mean the scope's got to be quite a long way from your face, and you'd be surprised by how many rifles won't allow you to comfortably put that scope that far away from your eye. So 90mm, bar excessive recoil amounts, is actually about perfect in my opinion from the hundreds of rifles I've tested and reviewed. Overall length on this is 350mm, which is 13.8 inches, so it's not excessively long. It's made in the Philippines. Proudly designed in Houston, Texas, Primary Arms LSC. Overall weight 666 grams, which is 23.5 ounces. So again, very nice scope for a sporting rifle. So I'm going to put this on a 2.2 rimfire just because I like shooting them on 2.2 rimfires. I am going to put it on an air rifle as well because it's going to be very versatile for that, with it having that very short focal control for the parallax as well. That means you're never going to be restricted from using full magnification at your shortest distances. Overall elevation travel on this is 25 milliradians, so it will give you some quite good long range potential, and windage is 16 milliradians as well, so you're not going to have any trouble either zeroing it or dialing for those longer shots when you've got it on the rifle. The turrets are a patented design. They've got steel internals, they've got a lifetime warranty on them. You've also got the 0 reset, the 0 stop, and it's a regular CR2032 battery under here, which is what controls your illumination, so that will undo simply like that. That will do with fingertips. The CR2032 battery will go in there. It's a first focal plane reticle. The centre of it lights up, and I'll get a photograph of that when I'm using it, and it's red illuminated, which suits most applications. Having a look through the manual, it gives you a brief description of the GLX first focal plane reticle manual. Now, first focal plane means the reticle stays exactly the same in proportion to the target, but that doesn't mean as you zoom up, the reticle looks to become bigger. Personally, I do prefer first focal plane because I think it's better for both corresponding dialing and reticle aim off adjustment, because the two will absolutely perfectly coincide. So this gives you a few of the dimensions on the reticle here. You've got 0.5mm, the 5mm, the different inclinations of the markers. Establishing zero tells you all about setting the scope up. Ranging with a middle dot reticle, which is something that a middle dot was first designed for, but it's not done so much these days. Introduces to the primary arms, tells you how to set it all up. Different specifications available, 2.5 to 1044, 4-16x50, which is this one, or there's a 6-24x50 as well if you want more magnification. These go through telling you all about the features and adjustments, how to adjust the reticle, specifically how to adjust the diopter at the rear to compensate for your own personal vision and eyesight. And I'll have a look at that when I'm in the field using the rifle, talk you through doing that when we're there. Return to zero, this tells you all about how you set up your turrets so that they actually mark zero when you're at your zero distance, which on a centerfire might be 100 meters, on an air rifle it might be 25 meters, on a rimfire maybe 50 meters, but you can set that up as you want it. It tells you all about doing that, and then setting up the top of the locking turret here so you've got your zero stop capability. I like the fact we've got lots of detailed diagrams, shows you all the internals so you know exactly what to expect when you get in there. Tells you specifically which screws not to loosen, which is always handy to know. And I will work through this when I'm setting the scope up. So let's put it on the rifle, 30mm rings at the ready, and go shooting. Well, you've seen me out using the rifle scope and I'm very happy with it. It's one of those reviews where you just really have no problems with anything, and I'm not entirely surprised because it's what I would call a good medium level functional item. It's not pushing the limits of the technology that's available, and it's just a reliable, tough, trustworthy tool. A 4-16 magnification range, which is a 4x erector tube, does give you a broad specification of field of view at the low end versus more precision at the high end. And I was shooting it, shooting some very small groups with it. I've put it on this accurate 2.2 rimfire rifle, partly because I wanted to do the most amount of multi-range discipline, multi-range shooting, and also the return to zero, because one of the big things with the latest turrets is you want to know that every time you dial that to some different distance and you click back to zero, what's the tracking like? Well, I did that on this video, and you can see me take 5 shots at a 75-meter target, and it just goes up and down every time, and it returned to zero every time, within the capability of my shooting in the wind and external conditions, of course. Being delivered with the flip-up lens caps is excellent because they're just so reliable to use, and if you ever do break them, they're easy to replace if that ever happens, and Butler Creeks are an industry standard that's been around for decades. Flipping the Butler Creek off at the back, you've got a really nice segmented collar here. It's easy to grip up and set the eye focus perfectly, and of course once that's set up, put that back on, you won't need to move it again because it's a side parallax scope and you've got great adjustment capability with that. Looking at the side parallax, and I've used this rifle scope on this rifle and an air rifle as well, and I really do appreciate the fact you can dial that back to extremely short distance and you can get full crisp focus at any magnification setting you like, and that's the important thing, as well as having no parallax error. The wing on the collar here to change the actual magnification is grippy and it can be moved from positions if you want to. Regardless of the fact it's got the collar on it, it's a really nice grippy texture, machined into the 606 on aluminium, and the anodizing has proved tough so far. On the left hand side, the illumination control goes from 1 to 10 and there are intervening off positions. There's no bleed out on that, and it's been set up so it's appropriate to light conditions you're most likely to use it in. So in extremely bright daylight you will want it up on number 10, but it still gives you a nice fair dim glow but recognisable. In low light, of course, that's the most likely time you're going to use an illuminated reticle. So of course you can still turn it up even to full 10 power if you want at that stage, and it's still not bleeding out of the reticle. The one thing is, it's quite difficult to photograph through the scope in daylight using that reticle, so I haven't been able to show that on screen. Having a CR203 battery underneath the cap, simple to replace, not a problem. Most people now in the modern world will carry those as spares because nearly all top-end scopes have got adjustable illumination control, which gives you so much more versatility, especially if you're using add-on night vision and things like that and you want to have that reticle pop up in low light. The other factor is its first focal plane. So when you are down at the lowest magnification, of course the reticle is smaller, and having the ability to flick the illumination on just to make it a little bit more recognisable, especially again with a rear added night vision or something like that, gives the scope great versatility. Turret clicks are tactile, they're audible, and windage and elevation have both worked exactly. And I will show you now how to set up and adjust the turrets with the supplied Allen keys. So when you've effectively zeroed your scope, you loosen the 3 circumferential grub screws on the elevation turret here, and that will now lift off. Now of course if you just want to indicate the mark 0, that will now float round. You can set it where you want to click that up, but there's also a 0 stop capability, and to adjust the 0 stop you take the smaller Allen key, and when the scope is zeroed you undo the 3 circumferential Allen keys here, and this red collar lifts all the way up, and then you retension them in position, and that then makes sure when you've got your scope back together, marked up at the set 0 point, you've got the locking button here, and when that's tensioned back in position, as you can see when I did the return to 0 test, once you unlock that, you can dial that repetitively and know it's back to exact 0 every time it clicks into position. And when it clicks into position, you can't move it, but it takes just the lightest press with your thumb or with a finger and it will just unlock and you can turn it easily. The scope has got 10 milliradians of elevation adjustment for a complete rotation. Simply marked, that's 100 clicks, and you've got markings for 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, etc. So it's easy to read, and you can also do it audibly if you're not actually wanting to look at the scope while you are shooting. So you can very easily, as I demonstrated on the previous video, just unclick it and count up in your head the required number of clicks, and it's reliable. Again, first focal plane means the mil-dot reticle inside precisely matches the adjustment here. So if you aim off 1 milliradian, that's exactly the same as dialing off 1 milliradian, and it's reliable and accurate to use. The 50mm objective lens is a good compromise between having too large an objective, which makes a rifle bulky, and giving that best low light capability. I think in fairness these days, the setup and layout of rifles, there's not really a lot of point going smaller than a 50mm, because with Picatinny rails and things like that, it means you've got the correct distance between the scope, objective body and the barrel itself. So going for a 44 or 40, it's kind of hanging in space because you can't physically put the scope any lower on the rifle. All the controls have worked perfectly, and I've appreciated the daylight optical quality of it, and also the excellent focal control from the side parallax, because that does lock in position and it's repetitive without any backlash on board. Similarly, magnification through the range with the first focal plane reticle means you can adapt the reticle exactly to the conditions or quarry species you want. And as well as using this on paper targets and steel gongs, this will make an excellent hunting scope because it's not too large, it's got great specification, great versatility, and it's not going to really lock you into a specific scenario. It's adjustable to work throughout most hunting scenarios, and a lot of the hunting I have done throughout my life with air guns, rimfires and centerfires has been with a 4-16 magnification, because it gives you that great range between a wide field of view for fast target acquisition, and when you do need it, you can dial up the magnification, you can dial the turrets, and you can make those precision shots. Right, thank you for watching that review. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and click the notification bell to keep track of the regular uploads. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.